For most of 2023, I've been exchanging the time I used to read mainstream works like One Piece, MHA, and all that, to read more indie comics. And throughout this journey, I found out something very important. I've been missing out OD. Sure, there are a bunch of dope mainstream comics out there, don't get me wrong, but there are so many hidden gems in the indie/underground comic space. And as a firm advocate of sharing that heat, it is my duty to find and tell y'all about these gems. Cause why should y'all miss out too? Which brings me to the subject of today's video. Today we're talking about another indie comic that goes into the story of one of the coldest young superhero groups I've come across. Like, this comic gives Teen Titan vibes mixed with the feel of the Static Shock cartoon with a sprinkle of that raw Boondocks energy. And I want to say more, but I think it's better if I just show you. So without much further ado, let's get into the story of Delta Dogs. Now, real quick before we get into the comic experience, this video was actually very special because it's sponsored by the publisher of this comic, Millennial Comics. The people over at MC hit me up, asked me if I want to review Delta Dogs, and they gifted me the physical copies of the book. And before we even get into the story, the quality of this is... I have no words. Later on in the video, I'll tell you guys how you can purchase this for yourself because this is honestly the best way to consume this comic. Like, I don't know. Shit's tough. Shit's crazy tough. Alright, but anyway, on to the comic. So our comic begins with your average bank heist. A bunch of no-good thieves try to rob a bank in broad daylight. Before they can, a bunch of mass vigilantes not only stop them, but beat the crap out of them, bro. And we find out these vigilantes are the titular Delta Dogs. And I guess now's the perfect time to add it. I love their uniform so much. Like, I couldn't be a Delta Dog because I don't have powers, but I would join just to have the varsity jacket, bro. Like, y'all need a man in the chair? I could be your man in the chair. You need me to listen to cop radio signals and shit? I got you. But anyway, as the dogs take care of the villains, we get introduced to Vonel, who's actually the only person in this group who's not currently at the crime scene. And that's mainly because out of everybody in the team, he is the youngest. He's like 11, but he so desperately wants to be a part of it. However, they know he's too young, bro. Like, the whole team is made up of his brother and his cousins. If I was your cousin, I'm not sending you out to danger when you're 11 and you don't even fully know how to control your powers. But that's besides the point. After Vonel talks about how he's kind of annoyed that he can't save the day with this team, he flashes us back to a few months ago before they even got their powers. And this is where we meet everybody in the Delta Dog. So we have obviously Vonel, you know, the lead. He's not, I wouldn't really call him the main character. There are just a lot of times where he is the focus. However, Vonel Young, who writes this story, does a really good job in giving everybody a good amount of attention. And I think that's because he actually based the characters, the team, the Delta Dogs, off of his actual cousins. And because he knew them the best, it made it easier to write compelling stories for each one that didn't feel forced. Like, these guys truly feel like a family, but we'll talk about that more later. Anyway, along with Vonel, he has his older brother Curtis who lives with them, and their cousin, Kenny. Vonel is more of like the dreamer. Curtis is like the supportive older brother type, and Kenny be sleeping all the time, but by night, he is a gaming god, bro. He goes by Flocka online. I'm sorry, I did him a disservice. He goes by Flocka2318. Yeah, you gotta say the whole thing. It's like a pimp name slipback. Anyway, outside of those three, there's also their cousin Josh. He's known as the pretty boy of the squad. You know, he's the only person who can keep his kicks wider than how they were when he got them. I don't even know how that's possible, but okay. Also, his high top is pristine, bro. Next up is Lil B. He plays a lot of ball and he's described as being the next Kobe. And lastly, there's Mike and Quan, who are the oldest out of the bunch and also live separately from the rest of the cousins. Mike, he just likes to eat. He's chill. You know, I don't really have much to say about him, but Quan is built different, bro. First of all, his entrance panel shows all these crazy ass scars on his back, and this is before they even got powers, so how, bro? Along with that, Vonel describes him as being the toughest guy he'd know, so he's him. He's him, bro. He's built different. That's his descriptor. Anyway, all the cousins are gathering together for a family reunion, and similar to, honestly, any family reunion, the cousins aren't here to stay, bro. Whenever you're part of the young group in the family and you're there for a family reunion, you are expected to stay there, but you don't, because you and your cousins want to do fun shit, of course. So that's what's happening here. You know, the cousins are talking about going someplace before they head home after the family reunion, and Vonel and Curtis want to come really bad, but ultimately everyone kind of says no because Vonel is so young. sibling and they don't want to have to watch him all the time. And I was gonna say I can't really relate to this because I was the eldest brother in my direct family. But nah, bro, there were multiple times when I was with like an older cousin or something and I just wanted to hang out with their friends, talk anime, whatever, do the things I couldn't normally do with my younger friends. And every time it was like, nah, bro, you too young. I'm not trying to watch you, fam. I'm trying to enjoy time with my friends. And I didn't truly understand that until I became the older sibling and I had to be the one like, nah, bro, listen, I'm hanging out with my friends. You go hang out with your friends. But anyway, they leave. Most of the cousins leave. But on the drive, they're stopped by this weird ass green guy. And this man don't look right, bro. Like the radiation is oozing off of him. And of course, because Quan and them are smart, they try to leave. But plot gets in the way and they end up falling onto the side of the road. Meanwhile, the cousins find out that even though they told Vonald and Curtis not to come through, they still did. They just hid in the trunk. So now all 7 kids are here and this green man is looking menacing as hell. Since it's gonna take too much time to get the car in working condition and drive away, they're just like, screw it, let's just run. But Vonell has asthma, bro, and he ends up falling, and right when that happens, the green man teleports in between them. Then as Quan tries to calm the whole situation down, homie explodes with energy, leaving everybody down. With that, they find a way to escape and get back to Mike's house. And this is where everyone discovers that they have special abilities now, thanks to that green guy. But the only person who's happy about it is Vonell. So Quan's like, alright, y'all, check it. We gotta keep whatever the hell happened back there between us. And Vonell's like, why? I want to take my powers and do hood rat shit with my friends. But as all this is going on, Kenny starts losing it. We see that he has the power to become electricity and also manipulate it. I like that they did it this way because I feel like there has been this common trope with black characters where they always have electric abilities. It's not really a complaint because I think electric abilities are mad cool, but I like that in this situation, he's not just shooting lightning. Anyway, because Kenny activates his abilities, Vonell, who was playing with his abilities for no reason, accidentally shoots an air blast? I don't really know what his power is yet. All I know is that it's very complicated to use, but that's besides the point. Vonell's dumbass blows a hole in the door while they're trying to keep this whole thing a secret, and because of that, Mike's mom pulls up and she is pissed, bro. And tell me how she starts strangling Mike for blowing a hole in the door. I mean, for one, it's not Mike's fault. That's crazy. But, ma'am? Why are you strangling your son for pulling what you call a prank? That's insane. If this is what she does when he blows a hole through the door, I don't want to see how she reacts to like other situations. But you know what's funny? Seeing this moment, the nostalgia is kicking in again because I was in a similar situation back when I was younger. Quick story. One time I had mad family over. Don't even remember why. It was a summer. I was like in middle school or whatever, but mad family, it was a reckless time. We were roughhousing, as young kids usually do, and in the process, someone rammed into the door and blew it off its hinges. My mom came back home from work and she works very hard, so she was already tired from the bullshit of her job. And bro, when she saw the door, I've never been so scared of silence in my life. It was just quiet rage. She saw it off its hinges, looked at me, looked at everybody else, and just walked away. Honestly, looking at this now, I kind of wish she was more forward like auntie over here. Like, I didn't want to get strangled or anything, but I kind of wish she just ripped off the band-aid of ridicule from jump instead of me sitting there worrying like, bro, what happens now? She's just mad and she's not talking to anyone. I'm scared. Anyway, to calm auntie down, Q tells Kenny to show his powers off to her. And she's like, alright, y'all got it. My bad. So then they sit her down and tell her everything, and she's like, y'all need to go to the hospital because this shit is crazy. But of course, Q, being the voice of reason right now, is like, auntie, we can't do that. People would freak out in a bad way. We don't need that shit right now. So auntie's like, I'll help you guys keep this secret. Just be safe and try not to cause any trouble. And deadass, the next day, everybody gets suspended. It's like what she said, put it in the universe that they were gonna fuck up. So now we'll go one by one on what happens with these guys at school, and that will also give us more details on everybody's powers. So first up is pretty boy Josh. He gained the ability to clone himself, but because he doesn't have full control over it, it activates in weird spurts where he gets extra digits on his hands. While he's in the bathroom trying to like do away with the extra fingers, he runs into a clone of his. He freaks out, runs to the bathroom, and runs into the freaking principal, bro. So homie got suspended off of that alone. Next up is Kenny, who already has problems staying up in school. So when he falls asleep, his powers activate and he accidentally blows up his phone. As y'all know, he controls electricity, so that makes sense. As for Mike, he seems to be able to control not only his own weight, but the weight of different things that he touches. So he falls asleep too because he's hungry, and he ends up expanding on his weight, and he breaks a desk that he's on. And everybody starts laughing, trying to make fat jokes and shit, and he's just pissed. We don't really find out how Lil B got suspended, but because his power has to do with emitting smoke, maybe a teacher thought he was smoking in class, even though he wasn't. And seeing it now, looks like Vanell and Curtis didn't really get in trouble in school. Maybe it's harder for them to activate their powers.
And there this boy goes messing shit up again. What up, fam? It's Conscience. What don't you forgot to mention is Curtis's power, which seems to be crystallization. Anyway, back to the video. But be more professional, son, damn!
So Auntie sits him down and she's like, "Aight, this is gonna be a much bigger problem than I thought. So what we're gonna do from now on is you guys are gonna go to school, come here, get your homework done, and then we're gonna go out and train so that you can figure out how to control this shit." Which I respect. You know, I like how Auntie's over here, like, she sees the situation, she could be freaking out, but she's like, no, I can't be ridiculing them right now because how do you even fathom getting these new abilities, bro? But crazy enough, after that whole speech and whatever, the real Josh, I think, turns up, and we found out that Josh that was listening to this whole situation was a clone the whole time. So yeah, Josh's power is type crazy, bro. Like, I think it's cool that he can clone himself, but this is backfiring a lot. After Auntie leaves, Mike is like, "Yo, Quan, where were you today?" And we find out that Quan didn't spend his time going to school, nah. He spent the day training his ass off because unlike everybody else in the Delta Dogs, he has unfinished business that we don't know about, and he plans on using his powers to finish that business. With that, we change scenes. We see a bunch of cops from Virginia after a drug raid. By the way, yeah, this story takes place in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia to be exact. I'm sorry I didn't add that in earlier. We're like midway into the review and I still haven't said where it takes place. This is, wow, unprofessional as shit. Anyway, they just finished a drug raid, and tell me how there's one dumbass cop who says, "I was thinking, guys, and I know that I'm a little new to be making suggestions, but we can make a little on the side if we take their shit and sell it." You idiot. Like, even if you're a crooked cop, why would you out loud say some next shit like that? "Oh, we just finished a drug raid. Let's steal their drugs and sell it while we're on duty in front of a bunch of other cops." And the guys he's working with are crooked cops, and they don't want to be found out for selling shit, so they kill his ass for talking too much. I mean, what did you expect, bro? And this is also where we find out that the cops here are on the payroll of the Blue Sox Sluggers. And the Blue Sox Sluggers are not only a big gang within the area, they're also the first main antagonists of this story. And I'll be real with you, when I heard Blue Sox Sluggers, I couldn't take it seriously, bro. It reminds me of like one of those like cartoony names for like a gang in like a random movie or whatever. But thinking back to it now, there are a lot of gang names that sound really dumb when you say it out loud. So honestly, I guess Blue Sox Sluggers actually hits the mark when it comes to the naming convention. Anyway, we move forward 2 weeks into the future, where we find the Delta Dogs doing more training. And now they're actually getting used to their powers. Kenny's still crashing and burning a few times, but you know, he's figuring it out. Mike is going full on Spider-Man without the webs with his gravity-changing powers. Homie Lil B mastered the smoke spirit gun and is shooting different leaves in the air to master his aim. As everyone is training, Vanell is sitting there mad because his power is too hard to understand, and he wants to get good like his cousins and brother. Kenny walks up Vanell trying to encourage him to train more, and I don't even know what this ability was. I don't even know if it was Vanell doing it or Kenny doing it, but after Kenny touches him, homie straight up disappears. He comes right back, but that was enough for Auntie to be like, you know what? Fuck this whole keeping it a secret thing. I am going back to my idea of telling people because I can't deal with this, bro. What if Vanell didn't come back? What if you disappeared his ass and he just stayed wherever you put him? And I get that, but the boys are still adamant on not telling anybody about this for good reason. Why, I wouldn't tell anybody either. So to convince her, they tell the rest of the story of what happened the night they got their powers, which we didn't know about until now. So after they got knocked out, tell me how the military pulled up, guns a-blazing. And leading this army is this really sus-ass doctor named Dr. Zinc Mutant. And this guy seems to be responsible in some way for the radioactive green man because he's like, how did that explosion cause him to evolve in such a way? Like, he definitely knows more about this whole power situation than he's letting on. But he doesn't care about making sure these guys are safe. He just wants samples. So he tries to get the military to capture them. But as Kenny's knocked out, he accidentally summons a bunch of different electric wolves, I think? This is the part where I got a little bit confused as to what Kenny can actually do, because I thought his power was mostly, you know, I zip zap around and shit and I punch you in the face, you know? But nah, homie is also high-key a conjurer. Like, he summons a pack of electric wolves to protect his cousins, and they all attack the military as they try to escape. And oddly enough, they seem to be living because the doctor's like, capture them if you can. We need samples from them as well. And even weirder, these things seem to have a mind of their own because one tries to attack Quan as he tries to leave with his cousins. Luckily, Quan activates his ability, which we find out is the power to control shadows. So homie's like a broken Shikamaru, fam. Now, before we continue, let's talk about how you can get these books for yourself. On Millennial Comics website, you actually have 2 ways to read it. You can get the digital version if you just want to read it on your phone and keep up with it from issue to issue, or you can go my route and get the physical copies. So far, the story has 2 seasons. There are a bunch of bundle deals for physical copies and digital copies. I'll put the link right here on the screen, and it's also going to be in my description for you to click on. And before we continue, one more thing. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like. It helps the channel out a lot. And if you're really liking it and want me to do more comic reviews like this, subscribe for more content and hit that bell for notifications. Alright, anyway, back to the story. So after explaining everything to Auntie, she's like, obviously, we can't tell anybody because it seems like if we go to a hospital, this Dr. Zinc Newton person's probably just gonna find y'all and kidnap y'all anyways. So she just says, promise me y'all won't go out there doing dumb shit with your powers. Please do good, help people. And they all agree enthusiastically, except for Quan. So later that day, when Quan comes to pick up Curtis, Vonell, and Kenny to play some basketball, Mike has a sit down with him since they're the closest in age. He's like, bro, I noticed you haven't showed up to practice a lot. What are you doing? And Quan's trying to keep it cool, not saying anything. But Mike knows about Quan's history. It turns out the Blue Sox Sluggers actually killed Quan's best friend Ray back in the day. So Quan is trying to use his powers to get revenge on the Blue Sox Sluggers, which is a dumb idea. Mike tries to use his time to convince him to not go about this way, but in the process, he brings up how Quan's father is no longer around. And Q don't like that, so he takes his cousins and dips. And then later that night, he does exactly what Mike told him not to do. He goes in by himself with armor that I'm not sure, I don't know where he got this armor from, but he goes to the Blue Sox Sluggers base by himself to attack everybody. Now Q, I get it. Being able to control shadows at night, you're a broken ass character. That's great, but you just learned about these powers, bro. The most we've seen him do up until now was shoot out like shadow fists at people and whatever. I don't know if he's able to handle all these guys when they probably have multiple weapons like guns. You already see how they carry bats. Like, why would you get involved with this? And what's cool is that the comic doesn't even try to hold anything back. They let you know, this is Quan's arc. Quan's arc begins now. And this is what I meant when I say that Vonell seems like the lead in some senses, but the story doesn't just have it focus on one person. Every character has their different arcs where they are the focus of the story, and I really fuck with that. It's great having one character you really like, but it's even better when you can vibe with all the main characters and enjoy each of their little additions to the story. You know what I mean? Anyway, Q keeps on raiding the base until he gets to the leader of the Blue Sox Sluggers. Some dude, and I kid you, this is his name. This is his I wouldn't say government name, but this is his pseudo name, I guess. Tony Snook King. Yeah, I couldn't take him seriously, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, don't get me wrong, homie's a menace, bro. We're gonna soon find out how much of a menace he is, but I could not be scared of somebody who seriously calls himself Snook King. I'm sorry, I'm not. Anyway, Q breaks into his office, beats up everyone but him, but then homie eats something called a lemon pill. And prior to this, Snook talks about how this pill is like next level, bro. Like, not even the cops have gotten a hold of it yet. It's so real that his right-hand man says, and I quote, throughout my whole thug career, I've never seen that shit in action. Throughout his whole thug career, I've never seen anyone refer to their thug life as like their thug career. It's a career now? Like, are you getting promoted in thuggery? Like, I don't understand. Anyway, Snook takes the lemon pill. He gets these weird yellow scales over his body, and I guess the pill also gives him super strength and super durability, and he uses his newfound powers to beat the living mess out of Q. And though Q is better with his powers now, like, you know, he's gone above, you know, just throwing shadow fists. He's now sending out a shadow avatar at people. He stands no chance, bro. He talks about how he got a broken rib within like the first few seconds of the fight. With that, Snook takes Q and he's like, I'm gonna make you an example. So he brings him up in front of the whole gang and he's like, yo, this bitch ass dude over here was trying to fuck with our business. He didn't know that I am the Snook King. But then after his speech, he goes to Q and is like, so tell me how you got your powers, bro. And Q just spits in his face. So Snook pulls out the blicky and gets ready to shoot him. And to find out what happens next, you're gonna have to read the comic for yourself. Now, thoughts. To be honest with you, I have read a lot more than just the first volume. I think I'm at volume 3 right now. This story goes hard. This story is really dope, y'all. And what I like most about it definitely goes back to the whole thing I told you about other characters getting their own little mini arcs in this story. Along with that, because they're an actual realistic team who have issues and arguments all the time, it's dope watching them grow into a workable team. It's like they're becoming better family members as well as better superheroes in the process. Along with that, this is a comic where the art evolves at an unprecedented pace. Like, I don't know how much time passed in between issue 1 and issue 20, which is the most recent issue, but the art in the later issues goes bonkers, bro. Like, it already looks pretty good from issue 1, but once we get to like issue 10, I would say the arc becomes very similar to some professional DC or even Marvel comics. But with that being said, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really enjoyed talking about Delta Dogs. Millennial Comics, thank you guys so much again for the sponsorship. If you want to read Delta Dogs for yourself, check the link in my description below. Let me know how you feel about it when you do. And also, if you already read Delta Dogs, drop your opinions in the comments below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with all your friends, and hit that bell to stay notified of whenever I upload new content. Check out my new newsletter, The Creator Chronicles, where I give advice on the whole content creation path. If you're a content creator looking to be one, this newsletter is made for you, so definitely check it out. It's completely free. Link is in the description below. And lastly, shout out to my amazing patrons. Thank you guys so much for what you give each month to support the channel. Without you guys, getting videos like this done would be a lot harder, so I really appreciate you all. And if you want to become a patron, check the link in my description below to find out how you can support the channel for as little as $1 a month. And by becoming a patron, you get dope perks like watching videos like this early, watching Honest Gaming History early, watching the manhwa reads uncensored, and a bunch more other things. But with that being said, folks, be easy, stay lit, stay healthy out there. Black Lives Matter. And don't forget, you can do whatever the hell you put your mind to. All it takes is practice and time. Peace out, y'all.